Did you know? Over half of UK business owners have experienced burnout, with financial worries being the biggest burden. Did you know poor data leads to serious revenue leaks, equaling up to £422 billion in the UK businesses every year? Did you know 80% of UK businesses have cash flow crisis, with 50,000 businesses closing every year due to just this? Welcome to Get Your Shift Together, the Business Fixer podcast. I'm the Business Fixer, Nicola J. Barnett. I'm also an accountant, so I know the numbers and I know what works. This isn't just theory. The podcast is based on my efficiency and profit framework. The framework creates real results that improve the performance of your business. From ending business overwhelm, fixing cash flow, maximising your profits, and delivering future success. Welcome to the podcast. Now let's get your shift together. I love listening to podcasts when I'm out walking. I feel like my head is in the right space to take on new information, and I always get my best ideas. So drop a comment to let me know where you're listening to this podcast today. I'd love to hear from you. We're beginning the Business Fix sprint with awareness and control. This is the first step in the framework. We're starting here because you can't fix what you can't see. And right now, you've probably no idea to your biggest problems breaking your business. The next few weeks aren't about feeling good, they're about facing the facts. Because here's what you do know. You're working twice as hard as you need to, making half the money you should, and you have no idea why. The efficiency and profit framework starts with awareness and control, because you can't get anywhere if you don't know where you are right now. Awareness is the beginning of transformation. Today we're going to find out why you're working for peanuts and probably don't even know it. So, you think you know how to price your work. You've got your way to price, you either double your costs, you might add a percentage, or add on an uplift. Whatever it is, it's your system and it's worked for years. Or has it? Where did you get this system from? Thin air? Dave down the pub? Or maybe someone else just said they was running a similar business and that's what they done. You should have got it from real numbers. That is the best way to find out what you should be charging to take home the right money that you need or want for your life. So today I'm going to help you find out your true margin. Grab your latest profit and loss report. This may be from your year end, although I'd love to think you may have more regular reports, or you can run one from your software. Can you find your gross profit? This is below your income and after your cost of sales, so not quite the figure on the bottom of the page. This number shows how much money you actually keep after paying for the stuff you need to do your job. From this figure, we need to find your gross profit margin. This is simply a percentage of money left over after you've paid for the direct costs of doing each job. So calculate your gross profit margin from your report, which is the figure from your gross profit divided by your total income. Is the figure what you expected? Is it looking similar to how you price your jobs? Or is the percentage falling short of what you was looking for? The gross profit margin shows you how much money you earned from selling what you sell. If you're selling physical items, you may see a lower margin, below the 50% mark. But if you are selling your expertise and time, you would expect to see above the 50% mark. You may find that your cost of sales is in fact more than expected. What has not been considered when pricing a job? Have you allocated all labour and subcontractor costs to every job that you price? Have you included packaging and postage? And what costs could have been missed? There still remains the ultimate question. We discussed this back in episode 1. Be sure to listen to this episode if you're not sure if your data is correct. The gap between what you think you charge and what you actually make is where your money's disappearing. This is what we will call a profit leak, and this is exactly where you need to be looking and fixing the problem. Now, linked to this is pricing. To get your actual pricing, you really need to look at real factual numbers. We're not going to dive into this today as it is a big subject, but I will definitely cover this in the future once we run over the business fix sprint. For today, we're just becoming aware of your current situation. So I'm hoping today you have just found out where your profit leaks begin and you can start working on fixing this problem. For every quote you send and every job you take on, you may think it's profitable, but you could actually be losing money. Do consider all actual costs, whether it's replacements of tools, subcontract labour if you can't make it, or even if a client changes their mind and there are further complications down the line. You can't build a sustainable business when you don't know what you're actually earning per job. You're working harder and getting poorer, and you can't understand why. We had a plumber client who had a team on the road. He added 50% to materials and allowed a certain amount of days to complete the jobs. But his gross profit margin showed only 28%. It turned out in the bigger jobs, clients were changing their minds, adding extra work, and were not being charged. He was also missing waste disposal costs and additional subcontractor fees when he wasn't on the job himself. Every job he thought he was making 50% profit was actually making only 28%. This is before he'd even paid himself or covered any overheads. He couldn't understand why the cash was never in the bank, despite being booked solid. So it turned out his low prices were winning him the jobs, but not necessarily getting him the cash he needed to stay in the bank. Another client, a graphic designer, was convinced her premium pricing meant great margins. But her gross profit was only 35%. What had she missed? She kept buying expensive stock photos, thinking she'd use them on future projects. She never charged the cost back to clients, and she rarely reused them. Whenever there was a tight deadline or she was overworked, she was paying a freelancer to help cover the overrun. And who can't resist upgraded software? All of these things ate into her gross profit and reduced the margins that she was actually getting and taking home. She thought she was charging premium rates, but was actually working 60-hour weeks just to break even. So, where does this leave you? Hopefully with some insight into how to use your reports to better your business, increase pricing or reduce costs. The relief of finally understanding why you're always struggling for cash, despite being busy. You can start fixing your pricing and spending instead. The little things do add up, and let's be honest, nothing is a small cost these days. These problems are great to resolve and can make big changes to your business, but you have to find them first. That's the challenge and where the work needs to begin. Your pricing method and your actual results probably don't match. That gap is where your money's disappearing and why you're working harder for less. The main question to come from this is, what's the gap between what you think you charge and what your gross margin actually shows you? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Here's your action for this week. Grab your latest profit and loss report and find your gross profit margin. Compare it to what you think you've been charging. Face the gap, however painful it might be. Stop pretending your pricing system works when your bank balance keeps telling you otherwise. Find out the facts about what you're actually earning and quit making pricing decisions based on guesswork and wishful thinking. Get your shift together, whether it's your pricing, your margins, or the courage to charge what you're worth. You'll find everything we've talked about today, plus loads more, over on my website at getyourshiftogether.co.uk. I'm running regular webinars showing exactly how the efficiency and profit framework can sort out you and your business. So don't forget to register at getyourshiftogether.co.uk. Thank you for listening to my podcast, and don't forget to follow me to make sure you don't miss anything important. I hope you can listen to next week's episode of Get Your Shift Together, where we'll be looking at where does your cash actually go. It's always a bit of a mystery, so let's solve it and have a look together.